Hi guys, we're going to talk through a couple of soft tissue mistakes that I think folks in the general fitness population make, but also folks who are in throwing populations make probably even more so because of the unique adaptations that happen in the throwing shoulder and elbow. So this actually started on a conversation I had with one of our minor league guys last week who was inquiring about, I really like to work on my biceps tendon. And one of the things that we talk about with our pro guys is when you have that tightness feeling in that anterior shoulder, and I say anterior shoulder for a reason that I'll get to in a second, but that's there for a reason. It may be because your biceps tendon is in fact what's being irritated or overused, and that's why it's getting really tight. It could also be coming from a number of other things. You could have a really loose anterior capsule. You could have discomfort there because you're actually kind of firing up some of the nerve structures that start in your neck and work your way kind of down your arm. So it's very important to appreciate that when you work on a biceps tendon, you might be doing a lot more harm than good. That tension could be there to kind of create some protective stability that isn't there because your cuff isn't doing its job. So I always encourage folks when they work on the anterior shoulder, make sure you stay on the pec, maybe subclavius, pec minor, work along underneath the collarbone, but don't actually get out to the front of the humeral head, because a lot of times that tension that's there may in fact be what's protecting you from a more serious shoulder injury. So we really never do soft tissue work directly on the biceps tendon, even if it feels tight. Instead, we spend some more time turning on that cuff, working on soft tissue around the joint, other spots to get where they need to be. So that's the first thing. The second one is actually the medial elbow. And anyone who has ever whacked their funny bone knows that it's not a particularly pleasant spot to hit upon. So whenever you're doing soft tissue work around the elbow, you need to be very careful about where you're working. The reason being is that your ulnar nerve is very, very exposed to underneath your elbow on the medial aspect of it. So if you're working on that triceps, you can quickly bang up on it. Also, it pierces your flexor carpi ulnaris, which is on the medial aspect of your forearm. So getting in there and cranking on it a lot could actually irritate that nerve if you're not very careful where you're working. That's particularly problematic for people who may have had ulnar nerve transpositions where the nerve's been moved over here to the anterior aspect of that medial epicondyle. And in the process, it's actually been brought more superficially. So those are the guys that may have a harder time warming up when it's cold out. They're more sensitive because you can actually get right on and irritate that nerve in a more anterior location. So you'll be very careful about cranking on the medial aspect of the elbow. Always better to have a good manual therapist do it. And if you're going to do it yourself using the stick or a ball or even just kind of foam rolling on the ground when you do your triceps, just be careful about where you're working. Listen to your body. If you get symptoms, you feel tingling down these first couple of fingers, you know it's probably not a good fit for you. So be careful on the anterior shoulder, stay off that biceps tendon, be careful on the medial elbow, stay off that ulnar nerve, and you should be good to go.